What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 25 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. And if you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. Today we got kind of a shorter one, about 12 minutes, but we are going to be wrapping up the pylons in today's episode. We're going to be doing some last minute things, adjusting the back end of this corner here, because I don't like how it's kind of curving in. This should be a little bit more flat back here. We're also going to be readjusting this back piece here. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So this last line here, we're going to be bringing this all the way back here. And I'll zoom out so you can see a little bit more what I'm talking about. I want to make this back piece flat, kind of like what I was just saying a second ago. And then we're literally just going to be moving up this back end and doing exactly what we did yesterday's episode when we stretched it out a little bit. We're just making it a little bit thicker in the back. But once we get to this curve and this straight point here, we're just going to be bringing that all the way back. So now we're going to do the same thing on this side. So the straight bar, now we're going to bring this going all the way back as well. And I shouldn't say wrapping up the pylons, because we will have one more step to do once we get this point done. Is we're going to have to make them a little bit thinner in the front, because they're a little bit too long. Thickness wide, but back here we needed to make this this back part a little bit thicker. So at this point, pretty straightforward what we're doing, literally just going with the pattern what we had before. And as long as you stick to that, you can't make any mistakes. When we get into tomorrow's episode, that's going to be kind of a long one. That recording session was about 36 minutes, so that was one of the reasons why this episode kind of ended up being just a little bit shorter today, because I really didn't want to go over 36 minutes unless I absolutely have to. So far, we've had one episode, I think, where we went like 46 minutes or something like that. But really, like, I'm going to try to stay within like the 20 to 25-minute window if I can. Only go over that, not by like maybe up to 36 minutes here and there. But still, we're going to be getting a little bit of stuff done today. And I think by the end of today's episodes, the pylons are going to look pretty good. Aside from their thickness in the front, we'll have to adjust that, but we will get to that tomorrow. And then from there, really we're going to be working on the engines, which is going to be pretty cool. So we definitely have a lot more stuff to look forward to. And then we have to get done with the deflector dish. And we also have to close in the remainder of the saucer section. And then we have just a little bit of work to do on the neck. And the outside, as far as the shape, is pretty much going to be done. The only other things that we're going to be doing to it at that point is making the cutouts for the secondary and tertiary or third shuttle bay. But that will be pretty cool, and that's going to go in the neck. And then we have the primary shuttle bay that we'll be building that's going to go right on the back end of the saucer. So now this, getting back a little bit what we got going on here, that outline, we just kind of double that up with the white concrete to match up what we had before. All right. And we are going to have to fix this underside here. Let's go ahead and take care of that right now. I'll make sure to go right up to the cut line. And now we're going to do the same thing on the right side. Yeah, the engines, the pylons, they look pretty good. It's just the excuse me. but the overall length of them, they really we need to bring them back just a little bit in the front. They're just a little bit too long. Um, and it's funny because after I did this, I decided that I might need to make them just a little bit longer than what I had them. Um, so the next step that we're going to do at this point is we're going to fill all of this in. So you can see that I've taken the liberty. I've just used my editing. I did it off camera. I just filled all of this in for our pylons. And now we're going to do our cut line. So we're going to be going from 1, 2, 3, the third cut back on the last block. That's going to be our sweet spots for where we're going to actually cut out our outline. And as far as the outline itself, we're not really recreating the wheel here. This is a very simple edit what we're doing right now. So I want to explain this a little bit before I do it. So this way, for those of you that are maybe not necessarily sure how I go about doing this, we're not doing anything fancy. I'm literally just taking the pattern right here and I'm moving it back. That's all I'm doing. So you can see we go 1, 2, and then 3. Now, this line right here, you're probably going to notice right off rip that this first block is 3. And the reason for that is because I'm going off of the same cut line up here. So that's why that looks a little bit different right there. Other than that, we should be pretty much spot on. Actually, I think that second one's 2 instead of 3. But that's okay. You could do 2, you could do 3, but I think whatever you do ultimately decide to do, the important thing is just to make sure both sides match. So I'm just going to go back one more time so we can do that together. So going off 1, 2, 3, we're going to cut out 3 blocks on this last line here, and then 2, and then 3. And then we're going to cut out 1, 2, 3. We're going to go back again with a cut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that looks pretty good. And you can see I just brought it all the way over now, right until we get to the curve. Which I don't think that's necessarily going to work. I think I'm going to have to actually go forward just a little bit, kind of like what we have going on right here. Before we get too far into it, let's hop over to the left side and we're the same thing. We're going on the third cut back. Remember to do 3. And this can be 2. And then 3. And then this should be 3. And you can see this side I'm going to bring it all the way over too, but like I said, I think we're going to adjust this line right here. It was actually working out pretty good because I thought that we were going to be doing this part in tomorrow's episode, but we're going to be doing it today instead. Which is actually going to work out because if that's the case, then I think we might end up being done with the pylons like I was originally saying by the end of today's episode. Because once we finish doing the cuts here, we're going to delete everything going forward as far as where the old length of the pylons were. Yeah, because you see, that's like literally almost 2 of them right there or more. So I mean, it's definitely going to look a little bit better with it being a little bit thinner, I think. That doesn't actually look horrible with that straight line there. It actually almost looks kind of better than what we got going on right here, the way it curves out. I don't know. If you want to make that curve out like we had it right here on here, you can definitely do that. This is literally dealer's choice. Do whatever you want to do on your Enterprise way. It's going to come out the way you want it to. At the end of the day, this is just a glorified guideline on what you could possibly do. So hopefully I'm giving you a lot of ideas on ways you can build your Enterprise D. And if you want to build it spot on with what I'm doing, feel free to do so. We're going to go over all these steps as we go. But so far, she's looking pretty good. Before we get too far now, we're going to cut out the right side. Now, once we get past the 2 angled cuts, then that's when we're going to start going in the pattern of 2. So that's looking pretty good. We still have a little bit of time left. Got about 4 minutes left today's episode, so I have a little bit left to do. We're going to be moseying on over to the back end here in a minute. So, like I was saying, anything past that forward cut line, we're going to be getting rid of that. Also, very important, making sure you're not deleting any of your side hull lines here. Anything where the white concrete is that meets with the quartz, make sure don't delete that white concrete outline there, because that's your guideline where to stop. And once you do that, then you can pick up again. So you can see we're getting a lot actually done in today's episode. It just doesn't seem like it because it's a shorter episode, but we really have gotten a lot done. So now we're going to start working on the back end here, because this back end has a little bit more of a lip than what we have going on here. So we're going to be going off the second to last cut going in and adding a layer to it. You can see I'm going off my original pattern, so I'm not recreating the wheel or anything. So in case you're wondering how I'm coming up with it, I'm literally just looking at the pattern that's right in front of me. It's just a little bit further back. We're going to try that out and see how it looks until this side matches up with now the right side. Actually, I got one more I have to do. See, I made a tiny mistake there, so we're going to fix that, making sure our cut lines are matching up. This way you can spot out your mistakes. But that's actually going to look pretty good. Now that back area here is going to look a little bit more spot on with how the Enterprise D looks back here. It'll have that much more flat part right back here. Now we're going to be transitioning into our last phase of today's episode. We're going to do the same cut line now, outlining it with white concrete. Just to give it a little bit more thickness. I don't want to make it too thick. That's looking pretty good. In the front corners here, where the front of the pylons meet the lower hull, we might have to make them a little bit more pointy with how they meet between the lower hull and the pylon, but definitely have a great shape to go off of here. Now we're just going to fill all this in. We're just going off the top half. This is something that I believe I said when we filled in a lot of this, that we're only doing the top half. Make sure that when we're working on the pylons, we're not filling in the bottom half, at least on the flat portion, because we are going to come back and mess with that later on. this old builder line. We're going to get rid of that. And swap that out for white quartz. And then we're going to go along the lip. Again, minding the cuts. Okay. She's looking pretty good. Definitely think it looks better now that our pylons are skinnier. Like I was saying, it's funny because I think that maybe they're slightly too skinny. It might end up coming back, maybe adding like maybe 3 more rows to them in the front. But it would still be drastically skinnier than what they were before. But I think I might have shaved off maybe like a layer or 2 more than what I needed to. But that's okay. We could always come back. In a minor detail like that, we can always change later on. But so far, she's looking fantastic. Yeah, because from that angle right there, they kind of look ever so slightly too skinny. We were just at, not necessarily right now, but we're kind of panning back. Looked like we needed like a layer or 2 right in the front here to really make it look spot on. But we're pretty much right where we want to be. There's really not going to be any more changes that we're going to be making to the pylons. From here, we'll be working on the engines, and then we still have some stuff to do on the neck, and then building out the deflector dish, and of course the remainder of the saucer section. But we'll get this done one episode at a time. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap us up today. We've gotten a decent amount of work done. Like I said, just a quick in and out, but still gotten a lot completed today. And I just want to thank everybody again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button. I can't thank you enough for helping me and supporting the channel. It means a great deal to me. This episode has been a lot of fun. And what else? I mean, other than that, don't forget to tune in to my new Minecraft episodes that drop Tuesdays through Thursdays. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on. We always get notified when those new videos drop. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you on the next episode.